the YouTube, live on Rumble. Good afternoon, hello, welcome to This Day in History, aka TDH. I'm Xander, UVRU, and we will be joined by the Golden Moon here shortly. Anyway, today is Thursday, aka Thursday, June 4th, 2026. This show is about interesting and important events that happened today through annals of recorded history. Throughout the annals of recorded history, I kind of said several words at once there. We have a 35-page document today, so not that bad. Anyway, on with the show, starting us off in the year 713. Hold on a second. That can't be right. Is that 713? No, that's weird. Okay, well, that's probably why. 781 BC, I guess we'll go from there to 713. We have the oldest Chinese recording of a solar eclipse. That's pretty cool. So, you know what a solar eclipse is, of course.
Of course.
781 BC. Like, wow. they're recording that. We actually have, like, right
How
here.
They recorded it, I wonder.
Well, on this way. Like, you know, they documented it. Like, they didn't record it on video or anything like that, of course.
I know.
But no, like, right here, I believe, I can't read Chinese, but, like, I believe the highlighted sections here are them talking about it right there. In this Chinese document right there. So, now we're going to do 713. The imperial official Artemius was chosen as Byzantine emperor the day after the blinding of previous emperor Philippus. Artemius was chosen in the name of Anastasius II and announced his adherence to the Chalcedonian Christianity. Yeah. We spoke yesterday about the previous emperor being blind and deposed and all that stuff. So, they took out his eyes or whatever. Stuff was real back in the day. 1070, Roquefort cheese created in a cave near Roquefort, France. So happy birthday, Roquefort cheese. You ever heard of Roquefort cheese?
I have not.
Neither have I. Oh. And we spoke about this yesterday. 1357, the Peace of Ath, signed by Count Louis II of Flanders and Duke Wenceslas of Luxembourg, ended the attempt of the succession of Brabant. All right. I didn't ask you, how are you doing today, by the way?
Doing good.
Good. 1391, mob led by Ferran Martinez surrounded and set fire to the Jewish quarter of Seville in Spain. The surviving Jews were sold into slavery. Why did this happen? Once again, are they insinuating that everybody just woke up one day and hated Jews for no fucking reason? Why does this keep happening to them? Time and time again and again and again. 200 countries,
Yeah.
1422, King Charles VI granted a monopoly for the ripening of Roquefort cheese to the people of Roquefort-sur-Soulzon, as they have been doing it for centuries. So they got some recognition, and now they got a monopoly. So. Now, we have a 500 years before my time article, if you want me to read it. It's kind of a nothing article, so it's not even...
That's okay.
All right. So 500 years before me, in 1487, Lord Lovell and John de la Pole's army landed at Furness, Lancashire. All right. I wouldn't care if it wasn't 500 years before my birth year. It's pretty interesting. So, 1525, Bayham Abbey riot. Villagers from Kent and Sussex, England, rioted and occupied Bayham Old Abbey for a week in protest against Cardinal Thomas Wolsey's order to suppress the monastery in order to fund 2 colleges funded by him. Wow. So he was suppressing entire religious
Yeah.
for his own financial gain to fund a couple of universities. He should have been strung up by his thumbs. 1561, the steeple of St. Paul's Cathedral, the tallest structure in London, was struck by lightning, catching fire and destroying its bells and roof. This was a medieval cathedral in London, and it was, from the other sources, it was destroyed in a fire and was never rebuilt. The steeple, that is, not the entire church there. So we have right there an artist's renditioning of the church and the steeple and the surrounding area completely engulfed in flames. But I do want to show, they have an artist renditioning of before and then a photo of after what this actual building looked like. So let me see if I can bigger this. That's as big as it can make. Right here, you can see what the church used to look like with the massive steeple. And then right here, it's the same church apparently, but now it has a dome thing over there. So it's still around.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Well, the steeple got destroyed. They didn't rebuild it, but they rebuilt something.
Yeah.
So, but the steeple probably would have set them back another couple hundred years or something. You know how long it takes those cathedrals to be built.
True.
1629, the Dutch East India Company or India ship, the Batavia, wrecked on Morning Reef off the Houtman Aprolos in Western Australia with 200 survivors. Only 70 survive after 3 months due to mutiny and murders. Wow. So, 1647, English Parliamentary Army under Cornet George Joyce took King Charles I as prisoner during the Second Civil War. They got the king. Uh-oh. 1671, the pageant of 1671, French claimed possessions of lands, quote, from the northern and western seas to the southern sea, including lands yet to be discovered, end quote, in a ceremony at Jesuit mission Salut Saint Canada. So Canada out there making some claims. Or at the time, it would have probably been called New France, I believe. 1756, Quakers left Assembly of Pennsylvania's army landed at Furness, Lancashire. So at primary source, it just says the first part, and secondary source thankfully wraps that up there. This is why we use multiple sources. You always want a second opinion, maybe even a third. 1760, the Great Upheaval, New England planters arrived in Nova Scotia, Canada, to claim land taken from the Acadians, so the natives. So, you know, they took the land and now they're claiming it. 1769, a transit of Venus. You remember what a transit is?
Tell me.
Basically, like, you know, from Earth, the transit of Venus is you're seeing Venus crossing across the sun, transiting across the sun.
Okay.
So we have a transit of Venus, followed 5 hours later by a total solar eclipse, the shortest such interval in history. That's amazing. So, you know, you see a planet, you know, going between the sun and us, and then you have an eclipse. That's epic. 1783, Joseph and Jacques Montgolfier made the first public hot air balloon flight unmanned, covering 2 kilometers and lasting 10 minutes with an estimated altitude of 1,600 to 2,000 meters. Not kilometers, but meters. So that's the Montgolfier brothers. You know, we have a painting of that, or a picture at least. Like, you've seen that balloon before. It's in the house somewhere.
You're kidding.
No, there's a in Mom's den. There's like some pictures of old hot air balloons or whatever, and that's one of them. So, but 1 year later, now this is really interesting. 1784, Madame Elizabeth Thibault became the first female balloonist. She was the first woman to fly in an untethered hot air balloon. Her flight covered 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles in 45 minutes and reached an estimated of 1,500 meters or 4,900 feet in altitude. So, you know, the Montgolfier brothers, you know, get, you know, all sorts of publicity, you know, like
recognition,
and everything. But just 1 year later, because first off, this one was an unmanned one. Okay, so they're not even in their own creation. This lady is, and they didn't even embellish on that, you know, which is, you know, shameful. I had to go to the secondary source to get the rest of the information, because the primary source only says this. You see, I have 1784 right there, and then another 1784. So the secondary source tells us more about women's history than the primary leftist source. How typical. And it's telling me to image search this, actually, so I'm going to do that really quick. So let's see. Yes, this lady right here. So I don't think the basket was that small, you know? Like,
probably not.
And this is an AI image right here, but like Elizabeth Thibault became the first woman to fly in a hot air balloon, you know, blah, blah, blah. Her pioneering flight alongside Monsieur Fleurant captivated spectators, including King Gustav III. So the king was watching. That's awesome. 1792, Captain George Vancouver claimed Puget Sound for the Kingdom of Great Britain. That name should sound familiar to you.
Yeah, so I didn't know Vancouver's named after a George.
Yeah, just like this country. well, not named after him, but like he was one of the founding fathers.
True. There's
a lot of Georges in history, and when you think about the Revolution, it was George versus George, because King George, you know, versus George Washington, Battle of the Georges. 1796, the siege of Mantua began when Napoleon Bonaparte laid siege to the fortress of Mantua, the last Austrian stronghold in northern Italy. It will become the main focus of Napoleon's army for 8 months during the Italian campaign of 1796 to 97. Moving on up into the 1800s, 1802, grieving over the death of his wife, Mary Cottely of France, King Charles Emmanuel IV of Sardinia abdicated his throne in favor of his brother Victor Emmanuel. That's admirable. You know, like, you know, if you can't do your job, give it to somebody who can. You know, take a step down and deal with your affairs. 1805, Tripoli forced to conclude peace with U.S. after war over tribute. Tripoli. So I guess that was the Spanish-U.S. war. So, 1812, Louisiana Territory officially renamed the Missouri Territory. So following Louisiana's admittance as a U.S. state, Louisiana Territory was renamed the Missouri Territory. Yeah, you can't have a state and a territory because then it would be confusing.
No, that's true.
Yeah. Because the amount of people, legitimately, I believe this is true, but there is a special office in the airports of Austria for people who think that they had booked a ticket to Australia. And they showed up. They're like, this ain't Australia. Oh, yeah, blah, blah. Just one letter. Austria, Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's legitimately a system in place to get people to where they actually need to go. Now, I don't know how they do that financially because you buy the ticket, ticket sold, fuel spent, you're there.
Yeah.
Do you have to spend even more? That would make sense, but that'd be a real bitch. At the same time, your own illiteracy got you there to begin with. So, pay attention to what you're doing. 1824, first free press without government approval funded in Australia. Speaking of Australia, the Hobart Town Gazette by ex-convict, and of course, Andrew Bent, ex-convict. Yeah, no, they're all, for the most part, a lot of Australians are, except for the indigenous, of course, but, the white Australians, that is, they're mostly, the descendants of convicts.
Yes.
They used to be a penal colony.
They used it for it.
Yeah. After, they lost us, the British, that is. I just wanted images just to bring up an example of, what the newspaper looked like, if anybody was interested. Pretty interesting, an 1824 newspaper. 1 year after that, 1825, an unseasonable hurricane hit New York City. We also have General Lafayette, a French officer of the U.S. Revolution, or what would become the U.S., the American Revolutionary War, spoke out what would become Lafayette Square in Buffalo, New York during his visit to the United States. Yes, Lafayette helped us out quite a bit. 1838, first baseball type game in Canada played in Beachville, Upper Canada. Baseball type game.
Type.
Yeah.
I wonder what type.
Well, I mean,
cricket.
Also rugby. So, 1850.
That's not like baseball.
Do they not have bats or anything?
No.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Rugby. Oh, I guess so.
Big oval football.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a football. Never mind. Well, I guess cricket. I guess would be like baseball. Would croquet? Not croquet. What's the one with the net?
Badminton?
No.
Tennis?
No. That's a racket. I'm talking about lacrosse.
Oh.
I'm thinking of lacrosse.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, were you? I'm not sure if that was yesterday or today, but I talked about it yesterday with Jay. But were you around when we covered how the natives during, I believe it was the French Indian Wars, like the French and Native American Wars, like before the Revolution and everything, in Canada and all that stuff. There was a fort up in Canada or whatever, and the natives tricked the people in the fort to come out and play lacrosse.
Oh.
And then the natives accidentally launched the ball into the fort, not the force, into the fort. So they ran in to get the ball and they closed the doors.
Oh.
Tricky. 1850, Empire Eugene Company No. 1, or Engine Company No. 1, organized in San Francisco, California. Empire Engine Company. It sounds like fire trucks. Yeah. But before they had engines in 1850. Or I guess they did in 1850, the Industrial Revolution and everything. They just didn't have any trucks. They still had pull wagons and everything. You hitch this to a horse. Yeah. That's your fire truck back in the day. So, 1855, 1850 as well, the self-deodorizing fertilizer was patented in England. That's pretty cool.
Self-deodorizing?
Yeah, so it loses its rank, 1855 as well, Major Henry C. Wayne departed New York aboard the USS Supply to procure camels to establish the U.S. Camel Corps. There actually was going to be a U.S. Camel Corps because we had deserts and everything. Mm-hmm. So we were gonna have camel back in the days of cavalry and all that stuff. Because of course Arabs, not Arabs, but horses were used by Arabs and everything, and all that stuff. But camels are literally acclimated to the desert.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah. 1862, Confederates evacuated Fort Pillow, Tennessee. Do you remember Fort Pillow?
No.
That was the one where when the Confederates took, they killed all the blacks that were in there. You remember that?
I don't remember that.
let's see here. Fort Pillow. Let me just see if I can. Well, no, I guess the secondary source tells us about the massacre, but yeah, the Confederates took Fort Pillow and then they killed all the blacks in there. They had surrendered. Or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Other source here: during the American Civil War, Confederate troops evacuated Fort Pillow on the Mississippi River, leaving the way clear for Union troops to take Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. 1873, first contract workers of British Indies Co. arrived in Suriname. 1875, Pacific Stock Exchange opened. So now we're exchanging stocks in the Pacific. 1 year after that, 1876, an express train called the Transcontinental Express arrived in San Francisco, California via the first Transcontinental Railroad, only 83 hours and 39 minutes after having left New York City. That's pretty fast.
All considering, yeah.
Well, I mean, 24. Well, let's see. Let's do some math. Like, what's let's move this over here. 83 divided by 24. 3.4 days. So 3.5 days to cover 3,000 miles in 1876. That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really much slower than a day. How long would it take to ride a train from New York to San Francisco? I'm sure today would be a lot more than that time because of all the extra stops and everything.
Well, it depends on,
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So go figure. Over 100 years later, we're even slower than they were back then. So much for advancement. So, 1878, Cyprus ceded by Turkey to Britain for administrative purposes. So the Cyprus Convention, the Ottoman Empire ceded Cyprus to the United Kingdom, but retained nominal title. Now I have another before me thing, 1887, so 100 years before me, but this was actually marked. Pasteur Institute, founded by French biologists Louis Pasteur and Émile Roux in Paris. So the Pasteur Institute sounds like some kind of institution of higher education.
Louis Pasteur was the penicillin guy.
Ah, so there you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
1889, Boston Bean Eaters. I love that name. MLB pitcher John Clarkson was the first to throw an immaculate inning, struck out 3 batters on 9 pitches, in a 4-2 win over Philadelphia Quakers at South End grounds. Wow.
We just talked about the Bean Eaters the other day.
Yeah, well, whenever I see their name, I mark it no matter what, because, I mean, like the Bean Eaters, the Bridesmaids, the this, the that. Like a lot of people don't know the original name of their team that they're a fan of or all that stuff. There's been a lot of name changes and all. Some that absolutely unnecessary, like the Washington Redskins, that was supported by the natives. Their logo was drawn by a native, and then white people come in and speak for the natives as if the natives can't speak for themselves. How racist is that? So. 1896, Henry Ford took his first Ford through the streets of Detroit. Look at that little thing.
Yeah.
It's like a little red wagon. Henry Ford's completed the Ford Quadricycle, his first gasoline-powered automobile, and also gave it a successful test run. So there you go. So quadricycle, before the word automobile.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about that. 1912, the cone of Mount Katmai in Alaska collapsed. So you can see the whole crater. That used to be the cone, the top part of a mountain.
Okay.
I
wonder what caused it to collapse.
Well, I mean, probably the magma chamber was empty and it was just a giant cave and it just went, because there was no more pressure and it just collapsed inward on itself. That's another photo of it. That's a beautiful picture right there. So.
It is.
Yeah. What else do we got here? 1912, state of Massachusetts passed first U.S. minimum wage law. Oh, okay. 1913, English suffragette Emily Davidson was trampled and mortally wounded by a racehorse called Anmer, ridden by Herbert Jones and owned by King George V during running of the Derby at Epsom Downs in Surrey. Jones was thrown from the horse. Horse finishes the race jockeyless. Davidson died from her injuries 4 days later. Yeah, well, because she ran out. Like this is another example. Like modern day feminism and all that stuff, they're all crazy in the head and everything because they have the right to vote, they have equality, there is no such thing as the wage gap. We're working on the glass ceiling. What more do you want? But still, it's not enough for these people to be equal. Now they want dominance because even far to the 1913, they're pulling the same shit for hundreds of years. They literally throw themselves in harm's way, get themselves killed, and then they cry about the misogyny. Well, gee whiz, maybe if you didn't throw yourself in front of a horse, you lunatic, you wouldn't have died. So. 1917, U.S. men began registering for the draft. Registering for the people willingly, to throw their lives on the line for a country that doesn't give a shit about them.
Well, registering.
Yeah.
Means that they're required to register for the draft.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're doing it willingly. They're required to.
Well, you can.
That's what a draft is.
You're not. Is the government putting a gun to your head?
Well, if you want to function in a society, there's certain things you have to do.
Am I not already paying taxes? Am I not already? No, that is the point. Am I not already financially funding this shit? Now I have to go fight and die for it. Why don't you go fight and die for it? You're not you, but the government. Why don't they go fight their own fucking battles? I'm already funding this shit. That's crap. 1917, Laura E. Richard and Maud Howe Elliott awarded first Pulitzer Prize for biography. Julia Ward Howe was the name of the story. The story of the author's mother. Huh. Now I'm gonna I just want to show this really quick. Because this, you see all of this? That's one article. Well, that's 4 articles about those same things. So I'm just I'm gonna read this last part because this is the most substantial portion of it. The first Pulitzer Prizes were awarded. The first one to Laura E. Richards, to Laura E. Richards, Maud H. Elliott, and Florence Hall. They received the first Pulitzer Prizes for biography for Julia Ward Howe, as I said. Jean Jules Dusserland received the first Pulitzer Prize for history for his work with Americans of past and present days, and Herbert B. Swope received the first Pulitzer Prize for journalism for his work for the New York World. So awesome. 1917 as well, Most Excellent Order of British Empire, inaugurated by King George V to recognize the efforts of his people in World War I. What in the Bill and Ted is that? Most Excellent Order. Whoa, bro. So... 1919, U.S. Congress passed the Women's Suffrage Bill, the 19th Amendment. All right, which guarantees suffrage to women and sent it to the United States for ratification. All right. 1919 as well, U.S. Marines invaded Costa Rica. Why? Why are we invading Costa Rica? That's weird. You know what? I'm going to look that up here really quick because I have a note here telling me to do so. So let's see here. What is that? Oh, yeah, there's the Pulitzer Prizes right there. So we'll get to that. So, well, that's just telling... Oh, dictatorship of the Tinoco brothers. So probably to topple a dictatorship. So, man, well, then again, there's that... what was it? What's the document saying that we are involved in? The Monroe document.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's probably why. 1919, Leon Trotsky banned the planned 4th Regional Congress of Peasants, Workers, and Insurgents. I'm on board with the first two, but once you start saying insurgents, I don't know, I don't like that. 1920, Peace of Trianon between Allies and Hungary. Hungary lost 71% of its territory and 63% of its population when the Treaty of Trianon was signed in Paris. Well, yeah, that's Hungary. That's the remnants of the Ottoman Empire. This is after World War I, when they're dying. 1 century ago, 1926, Ignacy Mosicki became president of Poland, holding office until 1939. All right, I'm going to do a scan for comments here. Okay, nothing. 1927, the first Ryder Golf Cup, Worcester Country Club. U.S. defeated Great Britain 9.5 to 2.5. Walter Hagen, first U.S. captain. Ted Ray, first GB skipper. Great Britain, I guess. So, 28, President of the Republic of China, Zhang Zuolin, was assassinated by Japanese agents. 1932, Marmaduke Grove and other Chilean military officers led a coup d'etat establishing the short-lived Socialist Republic of Chile. Thank goodness it was short-lived. 34, Dr. Frederick Banting, co-discoverer of insulin, was knighted. So, revolutionized the treatment of diabetes and saved countless lives. 36, Leon Blum became France's first socialist and first Jewish prime minister as head of People's Front government. Oh, so first socialist and first Jewish, huh? All right.
Two things you don't put together usually.
Well,
Socialist and a Jew? No.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say anything on that, but...
No, I mean...
Well, I'm just going to say...
Unusual.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just going to say, you combine those two, you know, and then you look back at history at all the 200 countries, you know, that they've been kicked out of and everything, you know. 39, the Holocaust, the MSST Lewis, a ship carrying 973 German Jewish refugees, were denied permission to land in Florida in the United States after already having been turned away from Cuba. Forced to return to Europe, more than 200 of its passengers later died in Nazi concentration camps. They were fucking here! They were here! We turned them back to die! What the fuck? Dude. Like, you know, from Cuba, I'd expect that from Cuba, you know. But from us, they were here. What the fuck?
I did not realize that.
Yeah, no, and this is not the only time. We've covered, you know, another time, you know, several other times where, you know, people come. I mean, hell, Einstein fled Nazi Germany in like the 20s. He found himself here. He's a refugee. So, I mean, they were here, man. 1940, first night game at Forbes Field, Pirates 14, Braves 2. So, yep. Now we have, it says here, other source, first night baseball game at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pirates won 14 to 2 over the Boston Braves. So we were talking the other day, or yesterday, 2 days ago, about the first night game.
Yeah.
Now, like, that was, I think that might have been the first night game at that, because they cover.
Yeah, we asked that you wondered that.
Yeah. Because I think we have like one or two other, we do, right next, right after it. We have, you know, 1940 as well. First National League night game at Sportsman Park, Dodgers 10, Cardinals 1. So they cover all the first night games and all the fields and everything. 1940, the British completed the miracle of Dunkirk by evacuating 338,226 Allied troops from France via a flotilla of over 800 vessels, including Royal Navy destroyers, merchant marine boats, fishing boats, pleasure craft, and even lifeboats. And I want to show this scene. If you haven't seen the movie the movie Dunkirk, this is a good movie. I implore you to go see it, but I'm just going to play this scene here.
What do you see? Home.
Can you imagine being on that beach and like you like the freaking like you know the leaders of the Allies, everything, they didn't expect more than 30, maybe 40,000 in total. 300, you know, 38,000. That's 300,000 more than their estimate.
Yeah.
You know, like home comes to them. These are people coming to go rescue the very people that were going to fight for their survival.
Yeah.
This is the point of being human. We're all in this together. You know? This is incredible. Almost nothing, everything. You know, we're here. You guys are okay. We're coming to get you. You know, dang, man. Like, you know, go see that movie. 1940 as well, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill delivered his famous "We shall fight on the seas and oceans" speech to the UK House of Commons. Yeah, and that's actually at the end of that same movie. Like, he reads the newspaper, you know, while on the train and everything. And oh, what a good movie that is. Moving on up to 1941, Republic of Croatia ordered all Jews to wear a star with the letter Z. So here we go again. So 1941. Nazis forbade Jews access to beaches and swimming pools. We've covered that a couple days ago and everything. 1942, Battle of Midway began. Japan's first major defeat in World War II. Japanese Admiral Shiichi Nagumo ordered a strike on Midway Island by much of the Imperial Japanese Navy. And that would eventually, you know, that's a turn of the war for our favor.
For sure.
1942, Capitol Record Company opened for business. All right, yeah. 42 as well during World War II.
I didn't realize it opened during the war.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's really interesting is, let's see here. Hot sauce meme Civil War. I think it's A1 steak sauce or something here. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. So in the middle of the Civil War, someone was like, you know what? This country needs a delicious steak sauce. Founded in 1862.
Oh, my goodness.
A1 steak sauce during the Civil War. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. 1942, during World War II, Gustav Mannerheim, the commander-in-chief of the Finnish army, was granted the title of Marshal of Finland by the government on his 75th birthday. On the same day, Adolf Hitler arrived in Finland for a surprise visit to meet Mannerheim. Wow. I don't want to be visited by Hitler on my 75th birthday. That would make it a terrible birthday. 1943, Argentina was taken over by General Wasson and Colonel Juan Perón. General Arturo Rawson seized power in Argentina in a military coup. Colonel Juan Perón soon rose to prominence in the new regime. Juan Perón, that name's familiar.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh. So, 43, St. Louis Cardinal Mort Cooper pitched in his second consecutive one-hitter.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. 44, General Eisenhower canceled planned D-Day invasion on June 5th after receiving unfavorable weather reports. And we spoke about this the other day, on Sunday, actually, after we saw it.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it on Sunday, right? Was
Yeah.
it Sunday?
Yes, Sunday.
Yeah. The movie Pressure. Once again, another great movie. Here we go. This is, I just want to play this.
Fate of the war hinges on this. All the pieces of the jigsaw are in place. There's only one imponderable that remains. I need a forecast.
I'm gonna end it right there, but go see that movie. Amazing movie. If you're a historian or anything, it all takes place, in the office, as you said.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting because, I don't recall him doing a movie between The Whale and Now, Brendan Fraser. So this is the second movie in a row where the entire movie is very enclosed, But, you can feel, the pressure on you in that. I would go as far as calling this movie a historical epic to those who understand and appreciate history, at least. It's not like a Ben-Hur or anything like that.
No.
But if you know anything about history, you got to see that movie. And this is the anniversary. This event is covered in that movie.
Yeah.
So.
Right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. 1944, U-505 became the first German submarine captured and boarded on the high seas by the U.S. Navy off the coast of North Africa. Capture was kept secret until after the war. Because they had discovered, they didn't discover. That was later on. But see here, other source says a hunter-killer group of the U.S. Navy captured the German Kriegsmarine submarine U-501, or 505. The first time a U.S. Navy vessel had captured an enemy vessel at sea since the 19th century.
Jeez.
Yeah. We also have U.S. Fifth Army entered and liberated Rome, the first European fascist city to be liberated. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Yep. Although much of the German 14th Army was able to withdraw to the north, but still. 55, U.S., Soviet Union, Britain, and France agreed to divvy up the occupied Germany. Oh, yeah. Loons time! 1946, largest solar prominence at 300,000 miles or 500,000 kilometers observed. Now, do you know what a solar prominence is?
No.
Neither do I, for once. So I'm actually going to look this up really quick just to see a definition. Let's see here. In solar physics, a prominence, sometimes referred to as a filament, is a large plasma and magnetic field structure extending outward from the sun's surface, often in a loop shape. Prominences are anchored to the sun's surface in a much brighter photosphere and extend outwards into the solar corona. While the corona consists of extremely hot plasma, prominences contain much cooler plasma, simpler in composition to that of the chromosphere. Like the corona, solar prominences are only visible to the naked eye during a total solar eclipse. So that is, I'm going to add this here, solar prominent. But you've seen videos and images of the sun, with all the stuff coming off of it. So that's a solar prominence. This is that largest solar prominence. Do you see anything interesting in this photo?
What?
The size comparison of the Earth.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that down
That
there.
little blue dot is us.
Wow.
That's the largest solar. That's enormous. So.
Good grief.
Yeah, 300,000 miles. The Earth is only, 25,000 miles in circumference? So, there's another image, I was very hard-pressed between this image, because that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And there is a solar prominence right there.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to showcase. I'm like, what? Why does this have a dot? Oh my God, that's Earth. 1947, U.S. House of Representatives approved the Taft-Hartley Act. I want to look that up here really quick, so just to see what that is.
That act is well known to me, but I don't know what it is.
Better known as the Labor Management Relations Act is a U.S. federal law that restricts the activities and power of labor unions. It was enacted by the 80th U.S. Congress over the veto of President Harry S. Truman, becoming law on June 23rd, 1947. It was introduced in the aftermath of a major strike wave in 45 and 46. Though it was enacted by the Republican-controlled 80th Congress, the law received significant support from congressional Democrats. Oh, what a fucking thought! Them working together. Wow! Many of whom joined with their Republican colleagues in voting to override Truman's veto. The act continued to generate opposition after Truman left office, but remains in effect. So if you want to read more about this act, Taft-Hartley Act. I'm going to have this in the underbar, the description section. There's already links down there that are pretty interesting, but the links that we collect throughout the show, as I always say, will be after the live stream. Moving on up to 1951, Pirates' Gus Bell hit for line, helping defeat Phillies 12-4. The cycle,
Yeah.
54 as well, Arthur Murray flew the X-1A rocket plane to a record 27,000 meters. All right. France granted Vietnam independence inside French Union. Okay, so there you go. That's how it started. 1954, they're getting something, and Ho Chi Minh took that and went with it. 55, the Mickey Rooney Show TV comedy last aired on NBC.
I never heard of that. I didn't know he had his own show.
I'm surprised that you didn't. Well, it's that you'd only be like, what, 9?
Yeah.
Or something, so yeah. 1956, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev's secret speech on the cult of personality and its consequences, criticizing Joseph Stalin, was made public. Excellent, yeah. 57, first commercial coal pipeline placed in operation. All right. Coal pipeline. I guess they piped the slurry or something.
I have no idea what a coal pipeline would be.
Well, I mean, like, you pulverize the coal into a dust and you mix it with water and you just send it down the line.
Is that what that means?
Well, I don't know how else you pipe coal. It's a solid.
Yeah.
So, unless it's a giant conveyor belt. 1961, 1958, San Francisco Giants Hank Sauer and Bob Schmidt were the first in National League history to hit consecutive pinch hit home runs in the 10-9 win over the Milwaukee Braves. 61, U.S. President John F. Kennedy and Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev met at the Vienna Summit in Austria. And this, from the other source, during the Cold War in the Vienna Summit, the Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev sparked the Berlin crisis by threatening to sign a separate peace treaty with East Germany and ending U.S., British, and French access to East Berlin. Wow. They're playing ball with that.
Yeah.
62. Lee Harvey Oswald departed Rotterdam on SS Macedon to the U.S.
Yikes.
Now, what's really interesting is that now, I'm not sure when they figured this out, if they got all this information after the fact, but we covered something like this yesterday about Lee Harvey Oswald and his travelings. Our primary source here has a lot of articles documenting Lee Harvey Oswald's travels before and after. Not that much after.
Not so much after.
Yeah. But when he was in Mexico, all that stuff and everything. And I just wonder, did they gather that after the fact, or was the CIA actively tracking him and all that stuff? And why would they be tracking him and all that stuff?
I guess it's been gathered after the fact because they wanted to know where he was. Put the whole thing together.
That makes sense.
Connect the dots. Because
yesterday I was going off about if they could track him like that in the 1960s, what do you think they can do with your 63, the first broadcast of Pop Go the Beatles on BBC Radio. Never heard of that?
No.
LA Dodgers in 1964, pitcher Sandy Koufax tossed his third, or Koufax. I always get them wrong.
Get it right.
Well, I won't. Tossed his third career no-hitter, defeated the Phillies 3-0 in Philadelphia.
His third no-hitter.
Yeah, third career no-hitter.
Yeah.
64, the Maldives adopted the Constitution. All right. 64 as well, the Beatles' first and only world tour, in quotations, began with 2 10-song shows at 4,400 KB Hill in Copenhagen, Denmark. British drummer Jimmy Nicole replaced Ringo Starr, who is recovering from tonsillitis. I think it was yesterday where he collapsed from tonsillitis. Yeah, right before their world tour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For the first 5 dates, 10 concerts plus a Dutch TV appearance. So, 1966 novelty single Batman and His Grandmother by Dickie Goodman hit number 70. What?
While Gotham City sleeps, Batman's grandmother is being kidnapped by the arch criminal known as
the Green Beret.
Commissioner Gordon dials the secret number of the Batcave.
6, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
How?
They just matched it. Is this a meme? Like, is this a shit post? Is this a shit post from 1966? Oh my gosh! Batman and his grandmother. Oh, I gotta listen to the rest of this. This is hilarious. Yeah, like, let's see here. What else do we got here? 1967, U.S. guitarist Jimi Hendrix covered new Beatles song Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band at Seville Theatre in London just days after its release with George Harrison and Paul McCartney in the audience. Oh, that's pretty cool. 1968, Don Drysdale pitched his 6th straight shutout en route to 58 innings. Dang.
Yeah, another great pitcher. Him and Koufax were in the Dodgers at the same time.
Oh, okay. Nolan Ryan, he was Angels, right?
Yeah, well, he started with Texas,
Oh.
and then later in his career, he signed with the Angels.
All right. 1969, 22-year-old man snuck into the wheel pod of a jet parked in Havana and survived a 9-hour flight to Spain despite thin oxygen levels at 29,000 feet. Don't do that.
No.
You'll die today.
How on earth did he survive that? I remember something about that.
Well, that's happened multiple times because something like that happened in the 90s. I swear, like that's happened multiple times where people get up in the wheel well and everything.
Well, it could have been any of them that I'm remembering then.
1970, 43rd National Spelling Bee, Libby Childress won spelling croissant. Croissant,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 1970, Tonga, formerly Friendly Islands, declared independence from the United Kingdom, the British Empire. Excellent. I'm all for independence. 71, Oakland A's defeated Washington Senators 5-3 in 21 innings. That's 3 7-inning stretches. 72, Angeles Davis, a black stadium activist, was acquitted of killing a white guard. Okay. 73, a patent for the ATM, standing for automated teller machine. So whenever people go around saying, oh, blah, 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 go to the ATM machine. Oh, do you play any RPG games? But go to the automated teller machine. Or do I play role-playing games? Well, no, the M in ATM stands for machine.
Yeah.
So when somebody says, oh, go to the ATM machine, they're saying automated teller machine. If somebody asks me what RPG games I play, they're asking me what role-playing games I play. You're saying the same word twice. Yeah. You already abbreviated it. Now you're making it longer for yourself. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Who says ATM machine? I was just
everybody does.
Go to the ATM.
Yeah. No. A lot of people have said ATM machines. It's just No. No. Yeah. No, my ism goes into overdrive, and I'm you already the word's already in the freaking thing. So, 74 never repeated 10-cent beer night at Cleveland, Ohio. Unruly fans stumbled on the field and caused Indians to forfeit the game to Rangers with a score tied 5-5 in the ninth. Unruly fans to stumble. Look at all that. But there's another image I wanted to use, but it wouldn't have.
10-cent beer. Yeah,
that never repeated 10-cent beer night.
Yeah, they never did it again.
Gee, I wonder why. But look at that. Look at all the crap. Drink, throw the cup and everything. And all that stuff, just trashed and. Man, that's terrible. This is why we can't have nice things, because humans are just animals. 74, NFL granted franchise to Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should start saying NFL League. So, 74 as well, Saudi Arabia announced that it will increase its participation in Amco to 60%, or Aramco, not Amco, Aramco.
Yeah.
So, 75, the oldest animal fossils in the U.S. were discovered in North Carolina. I'm going to do an image search of that really quick, just to see what the fossils look like. Okay, a turtle fossil or something. It's pretty cool. Friggin' megalodon, shark tooth, obviously. So, 75, Governor of California Jerry King Med Brown signed the California Agricultural Labor Relations Act into law, the first law in the United States giving farm workers collective bargaining rights. Can you tell us anything about that? And why Jerry Brown is called King Med, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was when they were spraying everything for fruit fly that got in here. And they're trying to save our agriculture, which is $1 billion industry. So we call it was Mediterranean fruit fly. So he got the nickname King Med.
But what was it that he said that was really egregious?
Oh, what? Just
cover your cars?
Yeah. It's all safe, but cover your cars.
Yeah.
It may eat your paint.
Yeah, but it's safe to go outside.
Stay inside.
Yeah. No, you can go outside.
No, he said just stay inside.
I thought he said it's safe to go outside.
Yeah, I guess
just cover the car.
Stay inside. It is safe to go outside, but cover your car.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And now our government is like right now they're planning on dropping like millions of male mosquitoes that are infected with this infertile fungus or whatever. So that way, like, it stems the reproduction of mosquitoes. They're saying, that the males are sterile. Personally, I don't believe the males are sterile. I believe that they're fully functioning, and that this is a design to spread infertility to humans through mosquito bites. So that's.
I don't know if I'm going there.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at everything else that's gone on. So, 76. Quote, the architecture of Louis Barganon, in quote, exhibition opened at MoMA, New York. Bring the Mexican artist's work to international notice. Image search this. So I am gonna image search this really quick. So it was just it looked weird. Like it's. I mean, I can see the architectural design and everything. I just couldn't figure out anything for. I mean, it looks cool. But at the same time, it also looks very expensive and needless. Well, what else we got here? 1977, an estimated 20,000 Scottish football fans invaded the Wembley Stadium pitch after Scotland defeated England 2-1. Goalposts and advertising hoardings were destroyed. Wow. And did you hear about like the riots going on in Paris right now?
No, I haven't.
Over some FIFA something or other. Like the police had to evacuate themselves. Like they're using fireworks as weapons, the fans and everything. It's crazy, yeah. So, 1977, violence during Puerto Rican Day in Chicago killed 2. Oh, okay, maybe we shouldn't have Puerto Rican Day in Chicago. We celebrated other people and we end up losing some of our own. Maybe we shouldn't celebrate them. So, 1977 as well, JVC introduced its VHS videotape at the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago, Illinois. It will eventually prevail against Sony's rival Betamax system in a format war to become the predominant home video medium.
That was a big war.
You want to know why Betamax lost out, if you don't know already, or do you know why Betamax lost out?
I don't, because they say Betamax was the better system.
It was.
And it was used in professional movie making, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But why did what do you call it, win out?
For the same reason why Laserdisc never caught on either. Because it was, the Betamax only held, like, I think 40 minutes to an hour of footage, which is not enough for a movie.
Oh,
so if you're going to have a movie, you have to have 2 tapes. Whereas VHS, you can hold 2 hours, 3 hours on there. So, so consumers opted to have
put in a tape, watch the movie.
Yeah, rather than halfway through, like.
I never heard that.
Yeah, and the Laserdiscs and everything, they're more or less the same. Like, because Betamax did have higher quality, that's why professionals used it and everything. But if given an option. Put a tape in, sit down, enjoy the movie. Halfway through, get up, pull the tape back out, or just
don't want to do that.
So as a consumer, you're going to be lazy. So, 1979, Joe Clark was sworn in as the youngest prime minister in Canadian history. How old was he though? So, you know what? Let's do some math. He was born in 39, and this was 79. So let's see here.
50.
Okay.
40.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do my math here?
No, 40.
Okay, I'll trust you on this. 79 as well. South African President Voorstar resigned due to a scandal. I wonder what the scandal was. We have 10 minutes till our hour, so I gotta keep this going here. But if anybody wants to let us know what the scandal was, let us know your findings in the comments section. 1981, 54th National Spelling Bee. Paige Pipkin won spelling sarcophagus. Awesome. 82, Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. I do that all the time. With Khan. I just had to. Like, you know. Was released in the USA. Gone! 1982, Israel attacked targets in South Lebanon. All right. 1983, Gordon Call, who killed 2 U.S. Marshals in Medina, North Dakota, back on February 13th that year, was himself killed in a shootout in Smithville, Arkansas, or Arkansas, along with a local sheriff after a 4-month manhunt. Finally got him, though. 1984, Columbia Records released Bruce Springsteen's 7th studio album, Born in the USA. His biggest commercial success, topped in the charts in 11 countries and sold over 30 million copies worldwide. Hell yeah. 1984, DNA was successfully cloned from an extinct animal. Yikes. Freaking, like, what's the word? A dystopian year for a dystopian, article there. 85, Supreme Court struck down Alabama's moment of silence law. What? What's a moment of silence law? Like, let me...
I don't know
Wallace
why
versus
you'd have a
Bradford.
law, but a moment of silence is self-explanatory.
No, it's about religion.
Oh, okay.
Wallace versus Jaffrey was a United States Supreme Court case deciding on the issue of silent school prayer. So,
Okay.
all I'm going to say is we allow Islamists to wear their hijab and everything, so we should allow, Christians to do their thing in schools if we allow other people to do their thing. That's all I'm saying. Equality. That's all I want.
Moment of silence is pretty innocuous. You don't know.
Well,
It
this
could
was
be anything.
this
Yeah.
was specifically for prayer. So
but
this
who's
is
to say you're praying. A moment of silence doesn't mean you're praying. That's pretty hard to
But that's what
uphold.
this
I know.
this is about specifically.
I understand what it's about. Yeah.
You're talking in a general sense.
Yeah.
This is a specific target. So, 1986, Jonathan Pollard, a spy for Israel, pled guilty in the U.S. court for selling top secret U.S. military intelligence to Israel. Why is Israel spying on us? This is what I keep saying. They are not our friends. They are using us. We are their muscle. That's all we are to them. And once we've outlived our usefulness, they'll kill us. Ao's time, 1987, U.S. hurdler Edwin Moses' 122nd race winning streak, which extended to nearly 10 years, ended when he was beaten by countryman Danny Harris in Madrid, Spain. But is this the beginning or the end of it? This is not saying it. It just tells us about it. Like...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, this says the streak, which extends to nearly 10 years, ended when he was beaten. This is not telling us if this is a start or end. This is just telling us about it. So, that's weird. 1988, longest game in Baltimore Memorial Stadium at 5 hours, 46 minutes, 14 innings, defeating New York 7-6. 2 7-inning stretches. We also have MLB New York Yankees outfielder Ricky Henderson stole 2 bases for a team record 249. 3 cars on a train carrying hexogen to Kazakhstan exploded in Arzmas, Gorky Oblast, USSR, killing 91 and injuring about 1,500 others. Now we're going to be talking about, we have 2 or 3 incidents involving Russia today. It's pretty wild. 89, the second Children's Miracle Network telethon raised $770,000. All right, they're telling us, how much they raised. That's pretty cool. Why is it not saying it here? Did they get rid of it? Oh, no, there it is. Okay. 1989 as well, Beijing policemen shot and wounded Chinese Premier Li Ping. And we also have Eastern Europe's first partial free elections in 40 years were held in Poland. Solidarity Party came to power. So according to other source, Solidarity's victory in the 1989 Polish legislative election occurred, the first election since the Communist Polish United Workers' Party abandoned its monopoly of power. It sparked off the revolutions of 1989 in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
So multiple.
So that was Lech Walesa, or whatever his name was.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 89 as well. Here we go with Russia again. A UFA train disaster, a natural gas explosion near UFA, Russia, killed 575 people as 2 trains passing each other through sparks near a leaky pipeline.
Nice.
So, very much like how China, is today, the Soviets back then, everything about theirs is crap. It's all designed to fail, tremendously. 1989, largest parade in Bronx history, honored 350th anniversary of what? The Bronx? So,
That's all it says?
Yeah, that's it.
Just stops?
Yeah. So, We have Red Sox lead Blue Jays 10-0 in 7th, but lost 12-11 and 12 for Blue Jays' 12th consecutive victory at Fenway. Talk about a comeback.
Now, where do the Blue Jays play? Do you know?
I don't friggin' in a tree. They're a bird. I mean, I don't know. Oh. Where?
Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Canadians.
Toronto Blue Jays, of course. You don't want. Yeah.
I don't know.
How the fuck do you expect me to know?
That was the setup.
Yes, it was. I feel like I'm on the line here. 89. The 1989 Tiananmen Square protests were suppressed in Beijing by the People's Liberation Army, with between 241 and 10,000 dead, an unofficial estimate. 241 to 10,000. That's a hell of a... Now, how can you sit here and call yourselves the People's Liberation Army when you're suppressing? Oh, that's right. You're liberating the people of their rights. That's why you're called that. That's okay. Now it makes sense. 89 as well. The 1989 Iranian Supreme Leader election. Ali Khamenei was elected as a new Supreme Leader of Iran after the death and funeral of Ruhollah Khomeini. Now,
Khomeini. Yeah,
Khomeini. Now, I was always confused. Like I thought Ayatollah Khomeini was the guy's name. And then I was told, no, that's the name of their position. Like, we have the president, they have the Khomeini. But no, Khomeini is the name. Ayatollah was his name.
Ayatollah, yeah.
Ayatollah. So it's not a position of power. You know, that's his name.
Okay.
So it's Khomeini. So it sounds like it's dynastical. Because, we have this guy Khomeini, that guy Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini. So, moving on up into 1990, Dr. Jack Kevorkian assists an Oregon woman to self-delete, beginning a national debate over the right to die. And now Canada has, gone off the deep end with that. 1990 as well, Greyhound Bus filed bankruptcy. Is this their first time or second or third? They filed bankruptcy several times over their life. We also have LA Dodger Ramon Martinez struck out 18 Atlanta Braves. That's a lot. New York Telephone Company announced that it wants Bronx area code to be 917. Or they want the code. I don't know. It's kind of vague there. 91, first post-World War I non-communist government in Albania. Excellent. And Pope John Paul II compared abortion with Nazi murders. Well, he would know. He lived under it. When was he born?
He was,
1920. So, he was under Nazi occupation or Soviet occupation. One of those two. Well, no, he was born in 1920.
Yeah.
And then the Nazis and Soviets invaded in 39.
Yeah, okay, so he was...
he was an adult.
A man.
Yeah, he was 29. No, he was 19. 19 years old. And he lived either under Nazi or Soviet occupation, and then eventually Soviet occupation from 45 onward. So he would know. 92, San Jose voters rejected Giants' plan to build a new stadium. 92 as well, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, was signed in New York. More of this crap. 92, the U.S. Postal Service announced 1.2 million people voted to choose the artwork on their Elvis Presley stamp, with 75% preferring a portrait of young Elvis over older Elvis. Okay. 85, 8 Children's Miracle Network Telethon raised $1,331,000. All right. New Zealand created world record score for a rugby union international in thrashing Japan 145-17 in the World Cup in Bloemfontein, RSA. Mark Ellis 6 tries, Simon Couthigan 20 conversions. 145-17. Japan got annihilated. I haven't seen Japan suffer a defeat like that since 45. Holy shit. 96, the first flight of Ariane 5 exploded after roughly 37 seconds. It was a cluster mission. I'm going to look this up on YouTube, actually, to see if there's actual video of this. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. The code that exploded a rocket. That looks something... Oh, here we go. Ariane 5 rocket. Aerodyne 5 rocket. So, yeah, here we go.
Tous les paramètres propulsifs sont normaux et la trajectoire est normale.
That's not good. Which, have you seen footage of the recent rocket explosion?
No.
Like something blew up on the launch pad recently. Yeah, Blue Origin 13 hours ago. This was up.
Blue Origin says that spectacular launch pad explosion will not be a setback, and there will be another launch by the end of the year. The CEO of Jeff Bezos' rocket company says the damage isn't as bad as first thought to the Cape Canaveral launch pad. A catastrophic failure, though, happened.
Wow. So you answered your question there. It was Jeff Bezos. So, 97, UN Security renewed its Oil for Food initiative, whereby Iraq may sell $2 billion worth of oil to buy food, medicine, and other necessities to alleviate civilian suffering under the sanctions imposed when it invaded Kuwait in 1990, 7 years prior. 98, Terry Nichols was sentenced to life in prison for his role in the Oklahoma City bombing. 2001, we are in the home stretch here. Gyanendra, the last king of Nepal, ascended to the throne after the massacre in the royal palace. That doesn't sound good. 2002, Canadian singer Avril Lavigne released her debut album, Let Go. Okay. 2005, Panamanian jockey Eddie Castro set a North American record with 9 wins on the 13th race card at Cowler Racecourse in Miami, Florida. Huh. We also have the civil form of the Romanians of Kosvana, Harghita, and Muris was founded. Okay. Doing a scan for comments. No comments. All right. 2010, Falcon 9 Flight 1 was the maiden flight of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, which launched from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Space Launch Complex 40. So, 2012, Japan's stock market plummeted to record lows with the S&P/Topix 150 reaching its lowest level since 1983. Ooh. But what was the level? It doesn't tell us that.
No.
So, I'm going to add that. What was the level? Question mark. 2012, U.S. drone attack killed 15 militants in Pakistan, including high-ranking Al-Qaeda official Abu Yahya al-Libi. Yahya. What is this? The Yahya Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants or something? So, 2012, wedding party bus crash killing 23 people and injuring 60 others in Islamabad, Pakistan. 2014, 10 Nigerian generals and 5 other senior military officials were court-martialed for providing arms and information to jihadist terrorist group Boko Haram. Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. 2015, Australian cricket batsman Adam Voges became the oldest player to hit a century in debut and first test versus West Indies in Roseau. 35-year-old Voges scored 130 not out during Australia's 9-wicket win. All right.
9-wicket win. Good for them.
Yeah. 2017, Ariana Grande headlines benefit concert for victims of her Manchester concert bombing, also featuring Coldplay, Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, and Katy Perry. All the Satanists are collected. Yeah, what a big stick in the eye, to commemorate the people who died at your concert. You throw another concert. How evil. 2018, former U.S. President Bill Clinton and James Patterson published a thriller novel, The President is Missing, together. Okay. 2018 as well, Jordanian Prime Minister Hani Mulki resigned amid huge protests against tax and price increases. King Abdullah appointed Omar Razaz to replace him. 1 year after that, the biggest protests in Prague since the fall of communism by tens of thousands against Prime Minister Andres Babis' use of EU subsidies. Deforestation of the Amazon forest in Brazil, the fastest for a decade, as 740 square kilometers were cleared in 30 days, according to Brazilian Space Research Institute. Wow. And let's not forget,
It's our oxygen machine.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why they're trying to clear it, because they want less oxygen to produce. So, let's not forget the climate summit they had in Brazil, where they clear-cut all that area, and they had all those miles of roads, built and everything just for them. They don't give a shit about the climate. It's all crap. 2019, movement in Japan to end compulsory wearing of high heels in workplaces trends with hashtag #Ku2. All right. I'm all for that. If you want to, dress a little bit. I mean, you're forced to wear high heels. That's terrible. That's actually kind of sexist in my opinion.
Well,
yeah.
How do you feel about if you have to wear a dress to work?
I would tell them to get on their knees first. So.
Wait that's not a good term.
If they're telling me to wear a dress, they gotta.
Women.
Oh no! I thought you were asking me what I would do.
No, you're not a woman.
No, that's why I said.
How do you feel about?
How do I feel if they ask me to wear a dress? I'll tell them to get on their knees first.
You just made a comment on high heels. It's terrible. I said, okay, how about dresses then? Is that as terrible?
But the way you said the question, it sounded like you're asking me personally. Like how would I feel if it was like how I feel, you know, or for me, or how I feel if for them. If I feel for them, you know, like if they're forced to wear a dress, there should be an option in the dress code for pants as well. Give them variety.
So then they shouldn't be forced to wear a dress, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
It should be an option. I was saying, like, I thought you were asking me, like, you know,
No.
if I was going to be forced to
I
wear a
gotcha,
dress.
no.
Oh, if you want me to dress like a woman, you better wine and dine me first, there, bucko. No. And even
I
so,
wouldn't even take it at McDonald's.
yeah, even so, you ain't getting me in a dress. Tell you that. Unless it's a kilt, you know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. In 2019, former U.S. School Secretary Security Guard Scott Peterson was arrested and charged with neglect of a child and culpable negligence for not confronting gunmen during Parkland School massacre in a landmark case. I don't know. Didn't they just go after him because he was white or something? Like, I mean, it was a shooting. Like, you know, I don't think he would have had the equipment. They just went after him because he was white. If he is white, I don't know. 2019 movement in Japan. We got that one. 2019, over 100,000 people marked the 30th anniversary of Beijing's Tiananmen Square massacre in Hong Kong and around the world.
Yeah.
That only happened because China was trying to suppress it again.
Yeah.
2019 as well, professional gambler James Hollizer's 32-game winning streak ended on Jeopardy, just short of Ken Jennings' record, $2.52 million in earnings. We also have San Francisco MLB manager Bruce Bochy reached 1,000 win mark with the club as Giants defeated the Mets 9-3 in New York City, second after legendary John McGraw to reach that milestone. All right. 2020, we have a memorial for Saint Fentanyl, also known as George Floyd, led by Reverend Al Sharpton, who eliminated himself in police custody. George Floyd, that is, you know, because the toxicology report, you know, the speedball he had and everything. In Minneapolis as 10th night of protests at his death held around the country. Now we have a connected article. George Floyd here, you know, despite holding, you know, like putting a gun barrel to the belly of a pregnant woman to rob her, like among other atrocities, you know, this guy was just disgusting, but he had effect outside of the U.S. So in 2020 as well, we have protests over the death of Giovanni Lopez Ramirez, whom had died back on May 4th while in custody, began in Jalisco following the release of a video of his arrest going viral on social media and inspired by the George Floyd protests. Later, these spread across Mexico. So Saint Fentanyl, not only was he a terrible, disgusting example of an individual in life, but he, in death, is spreading his toxicity around the world and causing chaos and mayhem. I would say, you know, he probably, you know, with the amount of influence, you know, he apparently had, I consider him the Antichrist, George Floyd. 2020, state of emergency declared after 20,000 tons of diesel oil spilled near Russian city of Norilsk, Siberia, within the Arctic Circle. Yikes. 2020 as well, thousands ignore a recent ban and mark the anniversary of Tiananmen Square massacre of Hong Kong. Yeah, there we go again. You know what? Was that also in 2020? No, so that was 2019. We covered the Tiananmen Square thing. 2020 as well, UN reported criticizing human rights violations in the Philippines, including deaths of 8,000 during its war on drugs, a day after the country's House of Representatives passed new anti-terrorism law. 2021, Nepalese Prime Minister KB Sharma Oli made a desperate plea for vaccines amid his country's devastating Kung Flu second wave, reporting nearly 9,000 daily cases late May. That's all bullshit. 2022, the WHO, the World Health Organization, not the band,
group.
yeah, stated that monkeypox were now found in 27 countries, were not already endemic. 780 in last 3 weeks. Assesses global risk as moderate. Now, you remember the whole monkeypox thing, right? They were really trying to gain access with that.
Yeah.
Don't you find it a little interesting that all of a sudden it disappeared?
Well, that is true.
You want to know why it disappeared?
Why?
Because people were comparing, you know, and this is disgusting, admittingly, but people were saying, you know, like horrible things of racial stuff.
Oh.
They're saying, oh, blah, blah. If you don't want to catch monkeypox, don't hang out with these group of people. I'm sure you viewers out there can put two and two together about what group of people they're talking about. So in order to stem racism, they got rid of, you know, that crap, which just proves that it's all crap. If it was real, they wouldn't give a shit about racism. You know, they'd be like, okay, whatever, you know, mock it all you want. This is a serious issue. But they don't care. You know, as soon as people started taking the piss out of it, it was obvious. It's just another bullshit. So, 2023, Ukrainian counteroffensive began with increased fighting in the east and south of the country. Protests began in Poland against the PIS government. Against the PIS government? Well, that I wouldn't want a PIS government either, so I'd protest that as well. 2024, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party won the most seats, but not a majority, in the country's general election. 2 years ago as well, Brandon introduced immediate restrictions on the southern border, limiting illegal migrant crossings to 2,500 a day. Why don't we limit illegal migrant crossings to 0? Why is it one allowed? They're illegal. They're illegal. What the fuck? Stupid. Which, by the way, and I already told you this, but these illegals, they're getting really crafty. And I'm going to remind you. But, did you know in the U.S., if somebody, legal, illegal, otherwise, whatever, if there's a crime and somebody can provide evidence and testimony, then they are granted citizenship, as a payment for helping and solve the crime.
You've heard that. You said that before, and I've never heard about that.
Yeah. So apparently, what these illegals are doing, and especially with all of the people who financially back them, we all know that they all have financial backers, all the thousands, millions of them, fully equipped. Crossing, from South into North America and all that stuff. They all have new clothes, new shoes, all that stuff. So whoever's funding them, they're funding this. So what they do is they get a group of illegals to go into, let's say, a 7-Eleven, or a Circle K, or a Robinson's, whatever. They have a group of illegals go into a store, and then they have another illegal do a crime, and then all those other illegals can say, oh, blah, blah, we have testimony, yada, yada, and then boom, now they're all citizens. They're crafty. So, 2025, 20,500 people were evacuated in Cologne, Germany, while experts defused 3 huge unexploded World War II bombs recently rediscovered during preparations on road construction. Wow. I mean, all that war and everything. Let's see an image search if we can find. Oh, that's one of the bombs. It must be. Look at the size of that thing. Oh, yeah. 2025, Google signed an agreement with Chile to build the first submarine fiber optic cable connecting South America and Australia. Vietnam formally ended 2-child policy in effect since 2009 amid record low birth rates. I didn't know that they had a child limit in Vietnam.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
They had a 2-child.
Yeah.
Not a 1-child.
Yeah. Well, Vietnam isn't as dumb as China, so. And then last but not least, 2025 as well, 11 people were killed and 56 others were injured during a crowd crush incident outside M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru, India, for the celebration of Royal Challengers Bengaluru's Indian Premier League victory. And that shall conclude the show. Once again, please check the underbar description for links that you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. A lot of history has and continues to be made on a daily basis, and we can only bring you, a portion between 2 sources. We have gone through this entire 35-page document in an hour and change here. Anyway, for your dose of Bad Events Daily, we stream at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. For all of you and all of us, I'm Xander.
Golden Loon.
And you, think of a code word. If you're still watching, put in the comments section... Memory, yeah. Type memory down in there. Anyway, for all of you and all of us, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!